Hello, hello, hello. My name is Mobasiniola Ashamfala Randall. Welcome to my channel. So glad to have you here. So glad you can come and join us. If you like what's going on my side of the internet, if it's a vibe for you, please take a moment to subscribe and follow me on social media as well. I recently came across some content that had me thinking, asking myself a really simple question, but a deep question, and convicting me about how I'm going to be like living my life moving forward. The content was basically saying like, do you really love yourself? And if you do love yourself, you would practice discipline and self-restraint, and you would treat yourself in all these different ways and have better self-talk if you actually love yourself. So do you love yourself? And that's the question of the day. Do you love yourself? Do I love me? I came up with this answer, and it's not as simple as probably anyone would like, but flow with me. My answer is yes and no. Like, yes, I love myself, and no, I don't love myself. Let's talk about it. So, yes, I love myself because I think I'm amazing. I think I'm dope. I love who I am. I love who God has created me to be. I love learning more about myself and having revelation on who I am and seeing myself more in God's image and looking at myself and being like, wow, God really took his time when he made me, and I have all these things to offer and these talents. I love the way my brain works. I love that I'm analytical. I love being in my own presence. I love me time. I am not afraid to go to the restaurant and by myself. I'm not afraid to like sit in a corner for hours, days with a book. I can't do that anymore because I'm a mom, but that's how I was. Like, I crave me time, just being by myself, fellowshipping with myself. I'm not afraid to admit that I talk to myself. I'm one of those girlies. I'm talking to myself. I'm processing out loud. I'm consulting with myself. So I love me. I love what I have to offer. I'm excited about me and sharing myself with people. I haven't always been this way though, so it's taken me a while to get here. Not necessarily that I had self-hate or I struggled with who I was, but I was super conscious of how people experienced me. Since I've been a young person, like probably even before being a teenager, one of the things people are always very intentional about sharing or oversharing, unnecessarily unsharing, unwarrantedly sharing, was that I am a really powerful person. So before I speak or before I do anything, when I walk into a room, when I sit in a room, I exude some sort of palpable power. And people my age and older than me have always been really intentional about telling me that. And as a kid, it was really, I don't want to say off-putting, but it was a challenge for me because I didn't feel like I was doing anything in particular to exude that, and I didn't understand how to control or move it. I was frustrated. I became even more frustrated because there were points in my life where people would try and convince me or tell me that I need to, tamper it down or be less intimidating or do this and try to control this very thing that I couldn't necessarily put my finger on. Like, I can't put my finger on this power. I can't put my finger on this intimidation or, the even speaking and doing all things, that just made it all worse. Like when I speak, when I come into a room, when I now bring my ideas, that just made it 10 times worse. But I didn't know how to tamper it down or dim my light, so to speak. And so I made a lot of effort to try and make people comfortable around me, or to dim my light, or to make myself smaller, or not be in a rush to speak or raise my hand. And I really struggled with that, not necessarily because I didn't like who I was, but I didn't like that people experienced me in the way that they were describing. So it has been a journey to get to this point where I am now, where I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I can't control it. That's who I am. I love who I am. God created me for that way, in that way, for a reason that is I'm still discovering and is being revealed to me all the time. But I'm comfortable with that person. I'm comfortable with this person that you describe as powerful and intimidating, because at the end of the day, while you experience me that way, like that's a you thing, right? Because I have people who are always able to move past that and really get to know me and love me and, share with me and be friends with me, or, just get close, have close proximity to me and really see my heart and who I am as a person. And I love that. So they say, like, I'm really I'm really strong. I come off really strong, but I'm also really soft on the inside. Not necessarily because I'm trying to be, that's just the complexity of who I am. So I don't really care how people experience me now. Like, if you're for me, if I'm your vibe, all right, come through. But if I'm not, like, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not going to always be everyone's vibe. So I love myself despite how people experience me, but it has been a journey to coming there. And I love what my future is going to be, and I'm optimistic about what that looks like and achieving my goals and dreaming big. One of the things that I always say, if you've never heard me say it, is that when you feel you've dreamt your biggest dream, dream bigger. So I'm always that person who's challenging myself to dream bigger, especially because the Bible says that God will do exceedingly above all you could have imagined or asked for. So I'm always like, well, God's going to exceed my expectations. I need to dream bigger. And that's just the type of person and the type of vibe that I am. So I love that. I love that. I love all the things, even some of the things that I struggle with, like, I love myself. I understand that's a struggle, but it doesn't make me love myself less. It just makes me want to be better. And that sort of goes into the no part of the answer. We're saying, like, no, I don't love myself. I don't necessarily love myself in action. And that is a hard thing to admit. What do I mean by that? If I do love myself, like, do I practice the best self-talk, the best self-discipline? Like, am I showing up for myself in ways that show that I'm able to sacrifice for myself and practice self-love or self-care and all those things? And the answer, honestly, is no. It's no. I think about, like my relationship with food, which is easy, right? Because we could talk about weight and all that other stuff. My relationship with food, like, I rather enjoy the moment of something. Like, I'm a sweets girly. I love sweets. I love the experience of food. I love food. I rather enjoy the food in the moment and not necessarily think about the repercussions, the consequences of indulging, and then end up with the consequences and are frustrated, right? And that just becomes a cycle, an unhealthy cycle. I think about the fact that there are so many things in relationships with other people, right, where we call people who actually truly love us to sacrifice on our behalf, to not indulge in things that feel good in the moment, and to remember us and say, because you love me, I expect you to practice discipline and behave this way and act this way and choose a better thing despite what you are gravitating to or what you're tempted by or all these other things. And while we hold those expectations to others who love us in relationships, do we hold the same expectation to ourselves? Do we practice that same thing? Like, I know that's tempting. I know you're going to enjoy that in the moment, but does it really serve you? Like, does it really show up for you? Are you able to deal with the consequences? Or how are you going to add balance to this? Are you able to sacrifice on behalf of yourself? And that's one of the things that I'm being convicted by right now, thinking about how can I sacrifice better for myself and not to just indulge in the moment or go for something in the moment. And this is not just food. I'm just using food as an example. How do I practice discipline and restraint and looking at the bigger picture and not just the moment in a way to love myself better? I also think about how when I was just a few years younger and I was looking at myself and I was always trying to, like, physically, be healthy, and that sometimes healthy equals smaller, and like, that's a whole nother conversation. But I wasn't necessarily like, I'm that girl. Like, I was always cute. Like, all right, the face is always facing. My face card always never declines, right? But I always wanted to, like, get my body in a certain place. And I look at now, when it's like years later, I've gained more weight. I'm looking at myself and I'm like, dang, like, I was that girl. Like, I know I could have been better. It could have been working, but I was hella cute. Like, I was doing it. But in that moment, I was always trying to achieve something else. So another way that I could love myself is, like, even despite what I'm battling or struggling with or trying to do better at, to be present and say like, wow, like I'm dope. One of the things that you'll see is that a lot of my content is focused on getting out of your own way and moving past barriers, mental barriers as much as possible, spiritual barriers as much as possible. And that's a common theme in a lot of my content because it's something that I've been working on over the last few years and something that's really important to me. And I think that that's one of the ways that I'm practicing or trying to break the barriers to loving myself by getting out of my own way and not just having better self-talk, but treating myself and my ideas with the same worth that I treat ideas when I go into the workspaces, corporate spaces, places where people have titles and things like that, because, you know, they're held on a pedestal, but it doesn't mean that I can't honor myself in the same way. So creating better eating habits, having better self-talk and the way that I hype myself up and speak to myself and just be present in the moment of where I am is really powerful, as well as getting past those barriers, getting past my own fear and doubt. And that's something that I really, really have struggled with over the years. I say that my procrastination and lack of discipline is really tied into my fear of failure and self-doubt and second guessing myself. Earlier this year, I went to a baby shower, and during the baby shower, there was a game, right, that I was perfect for because I have a fashion line, and it was like measure the tummy. So I measured the tummy without touching, and you have the string and you just look at the new mom and you look at her. And so I was doing it. I had my method. I had it down. I did it, and people were going string by string, and people were doing it. And I kept on looking at my string. I kept on looking at it, and I was like, no, it's too short. It's too short. It's too short. And I was like, at the very end, when they're about to call the winner, I'm like, I need to do it over again. And I raised my hand. I'm like, can I do it over again? And they're like, are you sure? Because if you do it over again, you have to forfeit the string that you have. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it over again. So I do it over again. And of course, I lose. And I was like, you know what? Can I just look at what the first measurement that I did was, just to have peace of mind? And it did not give me peace of mind, because the first one I did was perfect. If I had just stuck with the first one I did, I would have won the game. And in the room full of people, I was like, let this be an example to not second guess yourself. And that's something that I've constantly struggled with. So I actually, funnily enough, like if you see my key ring, I actually have that string from that party tied on my key ring to always remind myself, like, do not second guess yourself. I think that is also a way of not loving myself, or not loving myself properly, by second guessing myself, by always, having that extra doubt, like, do I really got it? Or is this really a good idea? Or talking myself out of things. I've chronically struggled with getting in my own way for a really, really long time. Like, even at this YouTube channel, right? I didn't just come up with the idea of starting a YouTube channel like this year in 2023. I originally wanted to start a YouTube channel more than 10 years ago when I was a college student at Howard University. I had so many ideas about things I wanted to do with my YouTube channel, and year after year, month after month, things just continued to get into my way. And I think about how I, really held myself back by not taking that leap. But I'm getting to it now. I'm doing it now, practicing that self-love, moving past my fears and my own doubt as much as possible. I think about a video that I saw J. Cole do recently, or an interview that he was doing, and he was saying that he doesn't even tell, like, the closest people to him his ideas sometimes, because he doesn't even want them to be able to talk him out of it. Like, even his mom, he's like, I'm just not even going to give her the chance to talk me out of it or make me second guess myself. And I thought about that, like, you really do need to keep some things close to your chest sometimes, because depending on who you're talking to, they can really crush your dreams or try and make you be closer to reality. And the trend these days is to be as delusional as possible, and that is true. It works. Like, be delusional. Like, why not you? Why can't you do it? Like, why can't I? What's really stopping me from having a YouTube channel and creating videos and talking and doing things that I love? Like, what's really getting in my way? Like, for real. And that is part of the thing of, like, practicing self-love and saying, like, I can do it. I can do it. I it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be the best. It doesn't have to be perfect. Because that's one of the things that I also struggle with is like, it doesn't look like the way I want it to. It's not perfect. It's not this, it's not that. But it's like, if you don't start, it's not going to get to where you need it to be. You know, practice makes perfect. Like, just because it's not perfect doesn't mean it's not palatable. You can't put it out there. Like, try your best, do your best, put your best foot forward, and see where it takes you. And so I'm practicing self-love better in those ways as well. My daughter is going to be 2 in a few months, and I think about the way that I love her, and that's also been really convicting to me. Like, the way that I love her, the way that I sacrifice for her, the way I do things for her, the way I push myself to the limit on her behalf. I think about the fact that a lot of times I'm just like, she's looking her best, honey. She's shining. She's shea buttered up, cocoa buttered up, you know, honey, and her cute outfits, and she's doing her thing. And sometimes, honey, I just be a mess. I be a mess. I don't know, like my hair be I be a mess. And I just be trying to hold on. But then, like, I think, like, I'm putting so much effort into this human being who I'm totally in love with, and I'm dedicating her, dedicating so much to her. Like, can I spare a little bit for myself? I love her, but I also need to love myself so that I can be there for her, so that she sees me and she sees, like, you know, I'm also an example to her of what a woman is, what a woman is going to be like. And, you know, she's looking up to me, and I'll have to be conscious of that. Like, I can't just love her alone. Part of me loving her is making sure that I'm loving myself, and she sees what self-love looks like. She sees what it looks like not only in action but in thought, and the way I take care of myself and the way I speak about myself. So having a child is also very convicting to me about how to practice self-love better. And I'm thinking, okay, what are the things that are I can implement that that are doable and can be repeatable, consistent, so that I can practice self-love that is good for me, but also is a good example to her as well. So, in short, I love myself. I love me. I love me. But I also get in the way of loving me. I love me. I love my spirit. I love my personality. But in action, the actual self love of the work, doing that love, of exuding that love, I get in the own way of that. So now that I have this information, now that I've gained this revelation, the question is, like, what do I do with that? What do I do with realizing that I do not love myself as much as I need to be doing in action? And I need to keep that same energy with the way I love my personality and I love all these aspects of myself. I have to keep that same energy when it comes to action, when it comes to doing things, speaking things, moving, getting out of my own way, having better habits, healthy physically, you know, with food, with fashion, with grooming, with all of that other stuff. Like, just wanting to, even with my career, understanding, like, even looking at my career sometimes and being like, well, my career doesn't define me, but if this place is not serving what I really want for myself, like, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. So yeah, I love me. I love me. I am my own fan, but I need to get out of the way of loving me. So join this journey with me. Keep in tune to see different ways that I'm coming up with loving myself. One of the ways that I'm doing that is by doing this YouTube channel, staying consistent with this YouTube channel, putting myself out there, seeing who can relate to me, and just encouraging others.